しょうか。はい、何ですか？何をことな。セーブします。どうしようかな。いらっしゃいませ。いくらぐらいの量かな。わかった。ありがとうございます。はい、どうぞ。いらっしゃいませ。ありがとうございます。こんにちは。これなんかどうでしょう。いくらにしようかな。ありがとうございます。買えたよ。こんにちは。いくらぐらいの量かな。ありがとうございます。買えたよ。いらっしゃいませ。いくらぐらいにしようかな。いくらの量かな。ありがとうございます。買えたよ。いらっしゃいませ。ごめんね。いらっしゃいませ。いくらぐらいの量かな。そうです。はい、どうぞ。行きます。
So here we have it, our original first NPC. If we go in here, we'll find that, hey, here's our image, and if you recall correctly, we can go through all these images, and we can select whatever person we want to use for our NPC. Furthermore, if we go to this text right here and go to our face image, we also have an assortment of faces we can use. But all of these are the default faces, and what if you want to create your own custom face? And judging by the title of this video, you already know, this video is about the character generator, which you can access by going to this button right here, click on brought up this huge assortment of all these different pieces and things you can do inside the character generator. Right here is the face, right here is the overworld generator sprite thingy, and here's the side view battler stuff. And so, using this, you can generate your own face. It's very simple. choose a section or thing you want to manipulate, click on the icon or thingy you wish to use. You can even select a color. Keep in mind that some colors are over global for multiple different pieces. For example, the front hair and the rear hair share the same hair color. Of course, the rear hair also has a subcolor you can use. Furthermore, you also have stuff like the eyebrows, which are going to share the hair color, etc., etc. And so, as I'm talking about this, I'm probably speeding up the video while I create my own character. So, as you can see, it's happening. Yeah. And once you're done creating your amazing character, all you have to do is click on these 4 buttons right here to export each piece of the character. So if we go to face image, we click export, we can export our face to something like my face. We'll hit save, and it'll be good to go. Next we can go to walk character, we can once again export and go to my character, as you see right here, and once again, save the file. Then we'll hit close, we can go to Battler, we can save our Battler by going to export, and guess what? My Battler. And that's really all you have to do. But here's a thing we might want to figure out. If you may have noticed, when we actually exported this face image, we had all these blank spots. And if we go outside here, we can find that, hey, our exported image only has 1 person right here, but all these other ones had like filled with 8 people. So how can we make it so we have multiple faces on the single image? And the answer is, we can actually do something called import, which is going to have us import one of our things. Then it could have right there, along with our new face. Then when we export it again, it'll export these 2 faces on top, like so. So now that we've done that, as you can see, our new file has both faces on top of it. So using this, you have multiple choices. You can make multiple characters on a single file, or alternatively, you can also give your same character multiple expressions by changing your, say, eyebrows, something like this, changing their mouth to something like this, and that can give them a completely different expression for the face image, in which you can use later in dialogues. Now, like I said before, you can also use it for different characters. But what if you want to switch your character, but you don't want to lose all the stuff you did for this character right here? And the answer is, you can actually save your character settings by going to Save Settings, and this will just open up a thing that allows you to save your settings. Now, I would recommend not just putting them all right here on like the basic area where our game files are. Instead, go right-click, create New Folder, as you see right here, go to New, go to Folder, and create a thing called Generator Stuff. And here you can input all the generator saves we want. So we go in here, we can name our my person, and we'll save it as a .json file. And when we do so, even if we close out of here and lose everything, if we go back, we actually use the load character settings right here to load the character, go to myperson.json, and it loads everything perfectly for the male, or we can go into female and do load settings and load the female right here. As you see, it worked perfectly. So, if you did want to have multiple people on the same file, all you do is create another person. I'll do so using randomize. Or we can do face image, import. We'll import the old face images. We'll export the new one with the guy on top of it. Once again, save over the same file, so it overwrites it. Do the same thing with the walk character. We'll import. We'll select our original walk character, which you can find right here. We'll export it with them side by side like that. Save it under the same file name. It'll ask us to overplace, and we'll say yep. And then we do, now the Battler, it takes up the entire file, so it can't really share the same file. You just have to export it as a new thing. So my Battler 2, and we'll save it as that. Now, if we want our NPC to look like our custom character, very simple. Go to our NPC's image, go find our file, which is my character, select on the one we want to use for this one, for example. Then, for all the dialogues, we're going to have to change your face, which is going to be a little bit more tedious to do, but if you want to make sure you don't have to do this, make sure you use all your character generators from the beginning, and then have them used as your faces later on. So, as you can see here, we can input all of our face for our new character, and that's good to go. Now, the final thing is, okay, cool, we made it so our NPC is a customized character, but now how do we customize what we really want to customize, which is the player character right here? And the answer is, we're going to go into the legendary database, which you're going to click right there. When you first pull up your database, you're going to find this section called the actors, and these are going to be the characters that you play around with on the screen. Now, as you can probably tell, we're going to do something very simple. We're going to select the face place, and we're going to choose this face to be the face of the person we want to use. You're going to see character place, and we're going to replace it with the character we wish to use by going right here. And finally, for the Battler, as you can probably guess, we're going to go find our Battler and use it as this character's Battler. And of course, while you're at it, go and change the name of your actor to whatever name you want to give the person. For example, I'll name this person, that's our person's name. Now, you can also give him a nickname, and we also have the class, the profile, the initial and max level, and all the initial equipment. We'll get into this later, but for the time being, all you need to know is that you can manipulate what your party members look like by doing this and going through and switching it for all of these. And that's really all there is for this video. Now let's go test out and see how our game looks now. And as you can see, now we have our new character, which is going to be our main leader of the party. If we go into our menu, we'll find them just listed right here at the top, along with their name. And if we go to our NPC right here, we'll find that, hey, our NPC also is now an NPC that works and stuff. And yeah, that's really all for this video. Until next time, RPG Maker Tutorial end. And don't worry about your volume, it's not turned on. I just wanted a moment of silence for our default title screen, because today we'll be fixing this. So let's get straight into it. Step 1, go to our gear database thingy right here by clicking that button. Step 2, go down to the system tab. It's a third from the bottom, right there. Now we're gonna manipulate some stuff to make our game look better. Now if you recall, in the very first episode, I said, call your game title whatever you want it to be, just call it this gibberish right here because you can change it later. And in this episode, we're changing it. We're gonna call this the greatest RPG of all time. And that is how you change the game title. That's simple, that easy, that's all we're doing. That's the first thing we're gonna change from our default title screen. Second thing is we're gonna use this little box right here called title screen to change the images on the title screen. So we can go through, select whatever foreground image or background image and a foreground image if we choose to do so. And so we'll choose a volcano and we'll choose a medieval frame. And we'll hit OK, and now that's what our title screen is going to be. Furthermore, you can also choose to draw or not draw the game title. And this would be, for example, if you made your own custom background that already had the game title drawn on it, or you just don't want the game title drawn there for whatever reason. But we'll have our game title drawn. Finally, the thing we're going to change is the window color. For your game, you can customize the window color to be whatever you like. So let's make it green, light teal greenish, whatever. That's a blue, actually. What was I saying? Anyway, hit OK, and your color and everything is done. So let's go test it out. Voila! Our title screen is now different than before, and so now it's more better than the other one. Yeah! And since that was such a short tutorial, let's also add a couple more stuffs. Let's learn how to customize how the player will look like, where they will be, and all the other stuff when they spawn in the beginning of the game. So number 1, right here, this is the initial starting party. Now if you recall, in the previous tutorial, we talked about manipulating the actors. And as you can see here, we have a list of all these actors that you can manipulate. If you wanted more, we change the maximum, set it to a higher number, then we got more slots, add more actors. But besides that, these are all the players pretty much. And if you go to our system, we'll find that right here, we have a starting party section right here, which we can input the starting party in the game. So if we delete the last 3 of these, that means the only character we'd start with is which means we'd only have one person in our party. Next thing we can manipulate is their spawning position. Now, while you could just set it in that little tab section right there, an easier way to do this is to go into event mode, right click on a tile, like so, go to set starting position, and go to player. And we can just set the player's spawn point to that point. So you can do this at any time, anywhere. We can even set it to be inside this room that we made still blank because I'm too lazy to actually put stuff in it. Yeah! And the final basic thing to look at is pretty much the music. Now, you have probably been listening to music. I don't have the volume turned on these tutorials, but these are the things that you listen to. And RPG Maker MV, of course, has a little small list of all these default musics you can use. And if you look right here, these first 2 are actually music for the title, and the battle we'll get into later. So if you want to manipulate what music is played on the title, we'd select field, castle, battle, whatever, and hit OK. And furthermore, you can also manipulate how it sounds with the volume, the pitch, and the pan. Pan is going to sound if it's more like on your left side or right side of your ear if you're using stereotype sound. Pitch is, of course, going to change the pitch, which is going to make it sound higher or lower. And, of course, volume is going to manipulate how hard or easy it is to hear. Be careful with all these stuff. They can get pretty weird if you mess with them. But anyway, we're okay. We're done with that. And for the most part, that's really all there is for this tutorial. Just manipulate the title screen, manipulate where your player spawns. Very simple, very basic, but it's something you need to learn. So let's test out our game and just see what we have done. So we've created a custom title screen. If we go into our game, we'll find that we start inside this room. We only have one person in our party. If we see here, or if we go into our menu screen and see that we only have one person. And wow, that window color doesn't look great. But whatever, it works and stuff. So yeah, that's really all there is for this tutorial. Until next time, again. Yeah, RPG Maker tutorial end. Alright, time for the most important part of creating an RPG with RPG Maker MB, which is the battles. Now, there are a ton of ways you can make a battle start within your game, but for this video today, we'll be doing it using random encounters. So to add random encounters to a specific map, simply go to the map right here, right-click on it, hit Edit, then use a big white rectangle right here to set up our encounters. So let's just double-click. Let's select one of the predefined troops within RPG Maker MV. We'll select the slime ×2. The weight, well, don't worry about that for now. We'll just hit OK. And then we'll look at the encounter steps. Now, this is the average amount of steps a player will take before getting an encounter. Now, since we're going to be testing encounters, you may want to set it for something low, like 30 or 15, so we can get a quick encounter really fast. But realistically, if you're creating a game, you probably want to set this something higher, like 70 or maybe even 80, for a bigger or larger map that you don't expect to see multiple enemies on. For a map that a player is supposed to grind on, maybe you can set it down to like 40 or 50, but for main game, set it to 80 or 70 so you don't annoy the player to death. But once again, for this example, we'll be setting it to 30 so we can get a quick encounter of these slime ×2. Hit OK, and we are pretty much done. Now let's go into the game. Now once you get into the game, simply go to the map which has random encounters defined in it, and simply run around for a bit. And eventually, we will find a random encounter. So keep running around, we'll keep going. Oh, almost there. There it is. That white flash will symbolize a battle has started, and we'll get 2 slimes right there. Slime emerged. And so, if you may notice, maybe not because the window color is still really weird, we can select fight or escape. We can select attack, magic, guard, item, all these cool choices like an RPG would. And so let's attack Slime A. And there we have it. We attacked Slime A, the Slime B attacked us, Slime A attacked us. And so if we kept attacking, we would eventually, hopefully, defeat these 2 slimes, though it looks like we may lose if they keep attacking us like this. We also have magic, we can use some spells like Spark, and of course it'll attack the slimes, yeah! We also have the ability to use an item, which we shouldn't have right now. Yeah, and also we can guard, which should reduce damage by half. So, yay, now we get to slow our death even slower. And finally, we can also use the escape right here to escape from battle, which is not always guaranteed, as you can see right here. And now we're going to take some more damage from these crazy slimes, but if we escape again, hopefully we will escape like we just did. And that was perfect. Now, in order to mainly define all the characteristics of a battle, we're going to do so within the database, which once again is going to be these little gear things right here. We can click on them, and we'll be brought to all these crazy tabs once again. Now, the actors, those are the players. If you may notice, we have the side view battler right here. Now, this is for side view battles. What we just saw right now is a front view battle, which means we saw the enemies in the front of us, and we didn't see any of the players because we assume that we're looking at the perspective from the players. But a side view battle, we'd see both the side view players and the enemies and both sides of the screen. But we'll get into that later. For now, let's learn how we can customize our own troop to have its own enemies. So let's go to the Troops tab right here, and if you may notice, we have the 4 troops that we saw before, which are the Bat ×2, Slime ×2, Orc, and Minotaur. Now we can change the maximum and set it to a higher number, say 6, and now we can get more slots for these guys. So let's make a troop that has a bat, so we'll click on the bat and hit add. We can move him somewhere. We can click on the Orc, we can add him, we can move him somewhere on the screen. We can make a Minotaur also and add him right in the middle. The big, crazy troop of all 3 of these crazy enemies. Well, maybe the bat isn't that crazy, but I got a Minotaur and an Orc. Finally, we can also auto-name it just by clicking that button, and it'll give us a list of all the enemies defined within this troop. So now if we go back into our map, we can create another encounter, or in fact we can edit the currently existing encounter. Next we encounter our new troop right here, which is going to be Bat, Orc, and Minotaur. Now, before we do so, I'd like to point out the weight right here, which I mentioned before. Now the weight is not necessarily affect how often you encounter enemies, but it affects how often you'll get this specific troop out of all the other available troops listed. So for example, if we create another troop called Orc that you can run into, just an Orc by himself, these 2 have both a weight of 5, so you're going to encounter them just as often. But if you set this to something like 10, that means you'll encounter an Orc way more frequent than a Bat, Orc, Minotaur troop. And that's because the weight is higher, which means it's more frequent. Now, this is all relative, so that it means that if you have a weight of something low, like 3, this is pretty low. But if you have another encounter that has something like 2, as you see right here, then it's still going to be more frequent than this one right here. And these do not affect how often you encounter any troop at all, which is defined by the encounter steps. These just go and say like, hey, once you do encounter a troop, which troop is it going to be? Is it going to be this one, or is it going to be this one? And there's weights defined which one it's going to be. But enough of that, let's actually go encounter our Bat, Orc, Minotaur troop. And if we run around, we'll keep running, and hopefully we'll come across our amazingly beautiful combination of a bat, an orc, and whatever the last one was, because I forgot, because I don't care. And there we have it. A bat emerged, an orc emerged, and a minotaur emerged. And we're going to escape because we don't want to deal with this craziness. But anyway, there's pretty much tons and tons of aspects that I can use to manipulate how your battles go, including skills, items, weapons, armors, enemies, states, animations, and all that crazy stuff. And we'll get into all that stuff in later tutorials. But for now, let's set off this tutorial with one final lesson, which is how to actually use side view battle. Simply go into System, click this little thing here, it says side view battle, and we're done pretty much. Now, even though you did that, you're still going to have to move these guys so it looks good. Your player's going to appear on this right side of the screen, so you want to move all of your enemies to the left side of the screen like this. Make sure they're all visible by just trying to move them around, make them look good. There. And now, these guys will appear on the left as our players appear on the right. So, before we do that, let's also add some more players back into our party just so we can get a better seeing example of what we're doing right here, like that. But anyway, for one final time, let's go and try and encounter one of these crazy troops right here. So, there we have it. Our encounter has started, and if you notice right here, all of our players are now appearing on the right side of our screen, and all the enemies are appearing on the left side like we put them there. Now, as you can probably guess, the battle's going to be exactly the same, only now we're going to see our little actors moving around as we do stuff. Now, whether you use side view battle or front view battle is up to you. As you may guess, side view battle looks a lot more awesome and a lot more animation is going on, but at the same time, a front view battle can be just as stylistic in your own game. And it's up to you which one you choose. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Please give it a like if you want to see. I said that twice. Good job, me. Great. Anyway, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. RPG Maker Tutorial End. In the previous tutorial, we learned how to activate a battle and how to just make a troop and stuff and have enemies attack your players. But in this tutorial, we're going to be looking through one of the most important aspects of the battle, which is the stats of the player, the enemy, and the skills. So let's get straight into it. Let's once again go into our database, and we're going to go to the Classes tab this time by going right here. Now, if you haven't been able to tell already, the classes are going to be like what's equipped to each actor that gives them their growth rate for all their stats, their experience rates, and a whole bunch of other traits, skills, and even weapons. And so, let's go through each stat and learn the functionality of each one. Most of them are self-explanatory though. Max HP, which is going to be of course the maximum amount of hit points you have. Max MP, which is of course going to be the maximum amount of mana points you have. Attack, which will be for offensive moves. Defense, which is going to be for defending attacking moves. Magic attack for magic attacking moves. Magic defense for defending against magic attack moves. Agility for whoever's going to go first. And luck for determining critical hits, evasion, and all that other crazy stuff. And so, that's the about like 8 stats we have. Now let's go into our actually terms right here, and here's where we can actually manipulate what the stats are called in your game. So right here we have level, HP, MP, TP, HP, MP, TP, maximum HP, maximum MP, attack, magic attack, you get the point. We even have hit and evasion, which are also going to be referred to as your hit rate and evasion rate, which we'll get into in a future video. But for now, I want to focus on all of these stats and how they interact with each other in the battle. So to start off, we have our actors, and these are the growth rates. So in here, you can set a growth rate for our hero class. So the maximum MP, if we hit like A, just make it so it grows faster, higher. If we hit E, that means it's going to be lower growth, which means at the highest level, it's still going to be pretty low. At the lowest level, it's going to be pretty low. We can generate a curve, and this makes so we can set so level 1 has something like 1, level 99 has, say, a value of 6,000. And this is going to create a curve that starts at 1 and goes to 6,000. We can also make it so it has a faster growth or slower growth. So slow growth would be like this, which would mean like it'll take a while to get it building up. On the other hand, if we made it fast growth, it'd like start up getting really high, then over time it'd slowly stop building as much. And so it's up to you whichever type of thing you want to use for your classes. You have to customize it for each and every class. So for example, if you have a hero class, you might want to build up attack or defense or keep it all balanced. For a mage, you definitely want to have much higher magical attack because you want to have it so like this person's a mage, they have lots of magical attack. Priest, same thing, you might want magical attack, maybe a lot of luck right here, so because the priest is going to have tons of luck. And it's up to you how you manipulate your classes. Once you have all of your classes manipulated for the stats wise, you can go to the actors, you can go to the class little thing right here, click on it, and choose your class that they're going to start with. You can change your class for actors later, but you don't worry about that for now. Instead, let's just continue onward. Next, let's look at the enemies. Now, if you can remember, our troops are made out of all these enemies that we created. So let's try creating another enemy. Let's set the maximum to 5. Let's go right here. Let's give it a name called enemy, because I have no idea what we're going to create. Let's go into the images by double clicking, and RPG Maker MV gives you a whole ton of different default images you can use. Let's select the mimic for now. We'll hit OK, and now we can manipulate the stats once again. And as you can tell, it's still going to be the same thing. Maximum HP, MP, attack, defense, magic attack, magic defense, agility, and luck. And you can manipulate all these stats to make it so this enemy has these stats. And now, the way the game is going to work is that you're going to have your enemy stats, you're going to have your actor stats right here, and they're going to interact together using the skills. And now what the skills are going to do, they're going to do damage based off the stats of both the attacking actor or enemy against the other actor or enemy. So, what I want to focus on right now is the damage box right here. All this other stuff, it's pretty crazy, but for the time being, let's focus on the damage box. As you can see, it says A.attack times 4 minus B.defense times 2.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
It's not that much damage, really, Phil. It's not. Could be a lot worse.
So what's happening is, A is going to represent the attacker, and B is going to represent the person who's taking the attack. So if we have an actor attacking an enemy, this would be the actor's attack multiplied by 4, minus the defender's defense, which would be the enemy that's being attacked, times 2. And this will result in a number, and that number is what's going to be used for when the enemy is damaged by the attack. And so this is how the attack and defense and magic attack and magic defense all work. They're pretty much all customized through this little damage box right here. You can make whatever you like. Now on the other hand, HP, MP, speed, and luck, I mean agility and luck, those are all defined in the pretty much code of the entire game. So if you want to make them have some special function, that's going to take a little bit more work. But for the time being, just focus on the main 4 attacking and defending stats. So, as you can probably guess, this right here is the attack skill, which is what's going to be used by default when you use the attack command in the thing, as it says right here. Same thing applies to the guard, which is going to be a little different. We also have the dual attack, heal, fire, spark, and all this stuff. So another example would be heal, because it's set to HP recover as opposed to HP damage. And so this is just going to take the user's magic attack, add a 200 to it, and that's going to be the amount of HP that is recovered by whoever this healing move is used against. So now, go through all of your classes and set up all the stats for each actor, depending on what type of actor they want to be in battle. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please give a like, please be sure to subscribe for more tutorials like this. Until next time, RPG Maker Tutorial End.
Everyday life may damage your eye's protective layer, making them feel dry, tired, and irritated. That's why there's
So in the previous episode, we learned a lot about what the stats are, a general example of what they do, and how the stats of the actors and the enemies interact with each other during a battle. Now in this tutorial, we are going to be looking at the skills and the more deeper aspects of what you can manipulate for each skill. So let's get straight into it. To start off, to add more skills, let's just change the max from 10 to maybe 13. Hit OK. Now I got 3 more slots to add skills. So let's just copy one of the previous existing skills by going onto it, hitting Control C, then going onto a blank spot, hitting Control V, and now just paste the skill on there. Now let's get straight into what we want to do. Let's try creating an ice skill that hits multiple enemies. So let's do it. First we'll do it ice as its name. Next we'll do an icon. We can just find some ice icon within all these lists of icons. So we'll choose this one right here. We can make a description. So this is a magic skill that damages all the enemies. Oops, I messed up damages. There we go, right there. So next we'll give it a skill type of magic as opposed to special. Now the difference between magic and special are, those are 2 different sections of skills. You can make more of your own custom sections later, but for the time being, just focus on making all your skills magic for a magic skill, or special for some physical or really powerful skill or whatever. So we'll just do magic for now. We of course have the MP cost, which is going to be how much MP it takes away from you. And we also have something called a TP cost. Now TP was not really discussed in the previous video, because TP is sort of a unique sort of alternative to MP. Now when TP is used, it always has a maximum of 100. And when you use a skill or something, you actually gain TP. And when your TP bar is full, or it has lots of TP, you can use that TP on various skills. It's a somewhat different sort of system. For the time being, don't worry about it, we'll just continue onward. So next we'll set the scope. Now the scope, of course, is going to be what type of person it hits. It can hit one enemy, all enemies, a random assortment of enemies, an ally, all the allies, a dead ally, all the dead allies, or the user itself. So the goal of this one is to damage all the enemies. So let's click all enemies. Now this skill will affect all the enemies. Next comes the occasion. Now the occasion should be pretty self-explanatory. We either have always, which is going to be on the battle screen or menu screen, menu screen, or never. So occasionally you may have a healing skill you want to have usable on the menu screen and the battle screen, so you can heal outside of battle and in battles, so you set this to always. But for an offensive skill like ice, you're going to have to set it something like battle, because that's really the only place you're going to use it in. So let's click on battle screen for now. We also do a speed. This is how much speed is going to be added on to the user when they use this skill, so they can get a higher tier of speed when they're using this specific skill. Once again, let's just set it to 0, leave it at default. Success rate, how successful it's going to be, we'll set to 100, but you can set it lower to have a less successful skill. Repeat, this is going to be when the user uses the skill, how often will it repeat? This literally means when you use the ice skill, it'll do this entire thing twice if you set this to 2. If you set it to 4, you're going to repeat this skill 4 times in a row when the user uses this skill. But for a normal skill, you're going to want to do this to 1 to have it repeat 1 time. We also have the TP game, which we recalled earlier is the thing that lets us add TP when we use this skill. Let's leave it at a 10 because we want to gain 10 TP when using this boring skill. Hit type, magic or physical, or certain. And in RPG Maker MV, you're stuck with 3 hit types. A certain hit, which is a hit that's always going to hit. A physical attack, which is going to be affected by physical evasion. Or a magical attack, which is going to be affected by magical evasion. Once again, that's something you don't want to worry about right now. Just set it to magical to correspond with a skill type and continue onward. Next we have probably the most important, which is the animation. This is what's going to be shown on screen when the attack is used. Now we're going to open it up and see, oh man, look at all these crazy lists of all this stuff. How do we even know what these look like? And the answer is, you go over to the animations tab right here, and you can see the entire list listed down here. We can go to one we want to check out, say power down 1. With the play right here, and it'll play the entire animation on this dragon. So let's say we want to find one for ice, so we do something right about, here we go, ice all 1. Click on that, we can play and see, alright, that's a skill that does ice 1 on all of the enemies, blah blah blah. So let's go to skills, let's set ice all 1 to our animation, so we should find it right about, here it is. Oops, wow, that was weird. Oh, whoa, something's messed up. Oh, this is an awkward time to do a tutorial. Come on, please work. Well, okay, that's not working. Guess we'll have to scroll. Here we go. Ice 1, all right. Ice all right here. What was I thinking? Okay. Ice all 1. Next comes a message. So this can be a message that plays when the user uses the skill. So for example, this will say casts ice when the user uses cast ice. So if the user is Bob, it'll say Bob casts ice. You can also set it to does. You can set it to uses. You can also just customize yourself by saying does the skill of ice or whatever. Or alternatively, instead of using this box up here, you just go down here and customize the entire message by yourself. So there was an ice attack storm thingy used, and that's what it does. Finally, at the bottom comes the required weapons, and you can set certain weapon types to be required to use a skill. Once again, don't worry about this. We'll get into it later when we do weapons. But for example, if you want to make sure the user had to have like a gun to use the ice skill, you just select gun and boom, the user has to have a gun type weapon before they can use the skill. Now, up here's a damage box. We went over this before, but it should be self-explanatory. You can set a type to make it so it does HP damage, MP damage, recovers HP, recovers MP, or it drains HP and it drains MP. So we're going to do a very simple HP damage, then we can set a formula, and the result of this formula will be how much damage is done to the HP. And you're given a lot of options for what you can do. The variable A right here represents the attacker, and B represents the defender. So if we did A.attack, that'd be the attacker's attack. If we did something like B.mdf, that'd be the defender's magic defense. So if we just go on here and we highlight the entire thing and just wait a bit, so wait about now, you'll see a list of everything we can use. Attack, magic attack, agility, max HP, HP, TP, MP, level, etc. So we did something like A.level plus A.magic attack minus B.magic defense plus 10. This will give us a formula that will give us a result pretty much. The attacker's level plus their magic attack minus the user's defense, magic defense, plus 10. And finally, we also make sure the element is set to ice. This is so we can have like certain effects when a certain element is used. Once again, we'll worry about that later. We have a variance. This means there will be like a small variance in between the actual damage and what the damage is given. So it could be plus 20%, minus 20%, and anything in between. So worry about that. Once again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Critical hits, yes or no. You want critical usable on this skill, we'll say yes for now. Now we also have effects and notes. We're not going to worry about these at all, they're way too complex for now. For this example, let's just go on to the second thing, which is the items. Now, items are similar to skills. As you may be able to tell, they also have like a damage box, the same type of usage, the same indication, all that stuff. But instead of having skills, items are like specific items you can hold, while skills are usually connected to an actor for them to use. So you should probably already get the idea if you played any normal RPG, but for the most part, let's just create a quick item, just to go another example. So we'll create a super potion or whatever. Well, you could set an icon to be this heart thing right here. Is a super potion. We'll set the item type to regular item, though key item or hidden item A and B can be used to set it so it's in the key item section or it's hidden from the inventory. So we'll do regular item. The price is going to be affected by if it gets sold in a shop, so if it is sold in a shop, it'll cost 25 gold. Is it consumable? This means if it's used, will it just be lost? And the answer is yes. If we set it to no, that means this item can be used over and over and over again without it ever being removed from the inventory. But we'll set it to yes so it can be removed once it's used. The scope, which we already explained, is going to set it to which one it's going to be used on. It's going to be used on an ally. It can be used in both the menu and the battle screen, so always. Speed, success, repeat, TP gain, we know all this. Hit type, we can once again set the certain to hit, since we always want it to hit. The animation, we can set it so this item has a certain animation when used in the battle, so we'll set it to, there should be a heal thing over here, so yeah, heal 1, we'll do that. Damage box, we could or could not put something in here. We could do like HP recover, and set it so it recovers 100 HP, set to no element, give it a variance of 20, no critical hits, and that's what our super potion is going to do. And that's pretty much all there is really for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're actually going to go through how I can actually obtain the skills and the items inside our own game, then use them in battle.